talk in those terms. But you can see what's being put out there, you know, with um, you know, politically, the government. You can see what's going on, and you know America is going to be the center of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let me just double check, and I'll what's that? Tag you. Let's see. Yeah, that's up. So that's a factor, like if they're moving troops, into the big cities, that's a factor. But
Hmm.
then on the other hand, the personal expansions are just through the roof. Now, you did a, did you do a video? Something, I caught something you did.
Yeah, you probably just caught my, because I don't do a lot of videos lately anymore. But I kept trying to write it out and I tried for days
Hmm.
and I couldn't do it. So I was like, okay, let me try video. And it actually worked. And I was able to get out what I was trying to say because
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
it was really, really frustrating me.
It
Uh,
was it was good. I can't remember all the details. We can go back into it, but I'd been thinking about you, and I think I saw that you were in France
yeah.
doing something, and then I've just been, blowing and going over here. So, but I came across it, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever it was, I was like on the same wavelength, and so yeah, because I figured, who can have a conversation with that is, looking at the same thing. Anyway, here we are. So
Here we
welcome,
are.
welcome
Yeah.
back, welcome
Thank
back.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
What was that video about? Should I play it? What
So
was it?
it's about the two, there's like, let me give you a little bit of backstory. So, with the time difference in France, it's during the day here in the evening in France. And my husband and I were in bed and we were getting ready to go down for the night. And all of a sudden, this energy came in that just, it scared me, to be honest with you. It scared me. It was the immediate, okay, is everyone okay? Kind of thing. It's like, let me check on my kids, let me make sure this is okay. And I couldn't get a hold of anybody immediately, but I go inside and they're like, I kept hearing, your children are fine. Your grandchildren are fine. Everything is fine. And I'm going, something's wrong. Okay. Something's wrong. Something just came in. So then I hop on Facebook and I saw that Charlie Kirk had been shot. And then I saw he was announced dead. I never heard of Charlie Kirk. I don't, I really have found that for my sanity, it's best for me to be in more of that upper observation mode instead of in the nitty-gritty.
Hmm.
Um, because I can get into fear and then that messes with my vibration. And then it's like I am much better disconnected from it, right? In order for me to fulfill my role, I need to be disconnected. There are people who need to be completely connected, and that's totally on them. So I was curious and I'm not understanding. And so I start looking up Charlie Kirk and I'm going, this is interesting. He's got some interesting ideas and, but still not attached, not anything.
Mm.
Um, and then I started seeing the drama, where people
Yeah,
were, praising his death and how other people were, I mean, it was just point blank, it was a shit show and you could feel it and you could
yeah,
feel the energetics. But I kept feeling something else underneath. And I'm like, this is not complete. There's something here. Something here is big. So when I was on my way up to Mary Magdalene's Cave, it's a 2 kilometer hike. And, you know, most of my group went ahead. I walked pretty slow. And so I was walking it alone. And it was perfect because I was in conversation the entire time with Mary Magdalene. And she kept showing me two spirals. So like in between the two spirals was like a dot, and it was the we could call it the assassination. Okay,
okay.
that was this humongous shock to the grid. Whether you knew who he was or not, whether you're in America or not, this was a shock to the grid. Okay. And then from there, it was like I could see one timeline going up in a spiral, and it's unity and it's compassion and sovereignty, right? It's what we want. But then I could see the other one going down, and it goes further into control and division and non-sovereignty. And so, and I've got this image in my head, and I'm working with her, and I'm like, I don't understand. They're so different. And she said, yes, and they are going to be overlaid for a time. And it felt like maybe even up to 5 years. So significant overlay. And it's to give us this choice and to constantly, so we can redefine it, right? So we can say, okay, where am I compassionate? And so it very much went into, can I have compassion for people who have no compassion?
Right.
And that's not easy,
Right.
right? We can all say, I'm compassionate until this, until I see this, until this triggers within me. And I think that this time period that we're heading into, we're going to find that all of those layers of compassion are going to be tested,
Yeah.
however that looks.
Yeah.
And each time we've got to come back to center and go, okay, I can really look at this as, where are people in their roles? We're all playing roles here.
Right.
So, can I have compassion for the role that you're playing? Can I have gratitude for the role that you are playing in this grand scheme of things? But what was interesting is I'm walking with her and I'm saying, well, explain to me how this moment can turn into greater control, greater division. And beyond the, in America, we've got the left right craziness. And you can see, I mean, honestly, your far right, your far left, they're just two sides of the same coin.
Of course.
Uh, it just is. But it was really interesting. I was watching, somebody sent me a video, and it was somebody talking about how there were witches that hexed Charlie prior to this shooting. And this person then goes on to say, people don't believe in this stuff, but you need to be careful with numerology, astrology. And I'm going, you're kidding. We're back here again.
Mm.
And so there is this repeating cycle, okay, of where we could go greater into more religious control instead of greater unity.
Yeah.
And you can just feel the rumblings of it,
Yeah.
right? And I don't know what that's going to create, but to me, the person who sent it to me, she goes, oh, so much for the witch wound, right? Like, and I'm
Right.
like,
Right.
it's going to be exercised.
Yeah.
It all the ways that, in past lives or whatever you have it, that we have been persecuted, silenced, you name it, burned, drowned, whatever. These are going to come up. And each time we will be challenged to choose. Can we choose compassion? Can we choose to not shrink, not hide within ourselves? And at the same time, be able to say, I don't need to be a part of that. But if that is the reality you're in, that's okay. It's
Mm.
okay. And you can live in that reality.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, it's training us. It's training us to realize we are truly the creators. And it's about time that we take responsibility for this creation. And so it feels to me like there's one grouping that, it's this upward spiral that is beginning to take full responsibility for the creation and doing so with great intention.
Mm.
And then there's the other grouping that it feels like sinking into this lower timeline that hasn't quite figured that out. They're still looking for a savior. They're still looking to be told what to do, whether it's by the government, the schools, the medical science, religion. They're still waiting to be told what to do. And so there is this lower experience that is going to offer that to them because they are also creating.
Yeah. Exactly. And
So,
maybe it's um, the split
yeah.
that's been talked about. And I feel after this summer, um, and really reflecting on the 12 years since 2012, uh, the Mayan date. December 21st. Um, the split's right here.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
right here. So it's like split, and you have the human side, which which you can't remove yourself from, because that's that's the whetstone that we hone our blade on, and then you have the soul. So it's to me, the split's here, and you hit the nail on the head. And I've said this for many years. When all this stuff comes out, and you've got the Q movement, and you've got all these people are just clones. They were executed at Guantanamo Bay, 4 years ago, and Trump never wasn't the president. And you have all these things. Now you're starting to see, this us versus them thing get louder and louder, which is being orchestrated. But I've
100%.
always said, if and when the time, this isn't about justice. It's never been about justice. This is
Correct.
about expanding as a soul, um, and therefore the universe is expanding. But you hit the nail on the head. You got to walk the talk. And if it comes down to that, and there are people, quote unquote, brought to justice, whatever that means, um, it is going to come down to our compassion for the role that they played.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what's the difference between taking me too seriously from my own personal and saying, and over identifying as Todd? What's the difference between that and me over identifying you from my perspective as Jenny instead of as a soul? You
Yeah.
know, I mean, so, it's I can see it from a soul perspective. I can see it from the symbology, like that Atlas 3's coming.
Hmm.
Is that going to be uh, Project Bluebeam or the fake alien invasion, or is it real?
Yeah.
Is it going to be a real, and that's another thing about the thing that happened on September 10th with Charlie Kirk. Um, at the same time, within 24 hours, they shot down exposing the Epstein files in Congress. So there's all this ugly stuff, and really, it's all the same beast.
Yeah.
It's a narcissistic realm these last 12, 15,000 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that would be another way to put it. Do we have compassion for the experience? In other words, if that is a one entity, do I have compassion for the narcissistic programming? Because if I don't, if I don't respect this realm and this experience in life itself, then I failed the test, you know?
Correct. 100%.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like the split I was talking about inside of me. I have the human experience with all of its vastness, especially my wild ass, my life, and all the, you know, everything, and we've worked through this, the shadows, and the summer's been like a purification. I mean, and you hold it in a high regard. That's the way I see it. I have compassion for my human. That's
Yeah.
what it is. I don't have the judgment anymore.
Hmm.
I don't have the shame or the blame or the guilt. I have reverence for this incredible aspect of me, that
Yeah.
at the same time I have my soul walking hand in hand. And this comes at a time when people are talking, especially this month. People are talking about some very similar things, such as um, a final galactic aspect merging, um, other major thresholds crossed, the soul coming in and speaking louder, more confidence in that, uh, kind of taking the road that you're talking about, where that we're not participating in that anymore. So I don't know. I mean, are we going to be walking side by side? Are we going to be walking around in Forrest Gump bubbles, being impervious to the bullshit and the fuckery, and live these fantastic lives, like in the eye of a hurricane? Or is the Earth going to split into two Earths and everyone disappears and goes that way, and these people disappear? I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's the greatest show in the universe, though, and there's a lot of people from Dolores Cannon, Edgar Casey, Franco. that it pointed to this time, exactly this time.
I know, isn't it wild?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
It's Magdalene just kept repeating to me the whole time, and this was an extremely intensive trip.
okay.
Wonderful. Loved my group. All just beautiful human beings. We all were in there not only doing our inner work, but then doing the land work. And she just kept saying, there's only the only way is in. That's
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
it. There is no other way. There is not a savior. There is not a one way. It is right here. It is the only way through. And I see a lot of this stuff, whether it's Q or
Mm,
the Guantanamo Bay or all of that. I used to prep. And it was after we moved a couple houses, I thought my husband was going to shoot me. He's like, "You have more canned goods." He's like, "I'm so sick of moving this stuff." And then he actually really helped me because he said, "Jen, if stuff goes down, we're leaving. We're
yeah.
leaving because we're suburbia, but like Target's a mile away, right?
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
and he's like, we're out of here, and all of this stuff you're gathering is going to keep us here." And he goes, "That's not how this works." He goes, "We bug out." So I
Yeah.
actually stopped prepping, and it just the minute I stopped prepping, chains came off.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know I was weighing myself down." And so I see a lot of what's going on out there as huge distractions. Like, all the people who are now like it- looking at it and going, whether it's the Charlie Kirk thing or something else, and going, "No, her eyes are different," or "Oh, there's this," or "Oh, there's that." And they're spending all this mental imagery trying to figure out how they're being duped instead of realizing the duping is in you figuring it all out instead of being right here with yourself during this incredible time period
Yeah.
and
Well, like
dealing with yourself.
with you, the weight came off because you were tapped into the narrative. So here we go again. It's a weird proposition because you have the two perspectives. You
Yeah.
have the knowing of the soul, and you have this expanding graciousness and in respect and reverence for the human part of you, not for the human. I'm talking about for you personally. Like
Hmm.
people are
Hmm.
getting to a point where they're saying, "I do love myself. I'm going to take care of myself." But all these streams have come from the experience, especially this duality thing for the last whatever 12,000. And there's no difference. It's an all or nothing thing. So if you're stuck on a narrative that whatever, you came from Andromeda and you had this long journey and now we're here to save the earth, or a political slant or any other narrative or whatever, they're all stuck on the grid. They're
Yeah.
all attached to the illusion, and they're not located inside of you. So you're not going to gain anything by externalizing anything, be it love or blame. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what it is. And so what I'm seeing happen, and it's extraordinary, even in the last 10 days, has been absolutely extraordinary, where this inner awareness, which comes with so much, wisdom, love, grace, humility, it's it's working both ways. Like
Mhm.
as I change, like as I look at you today, I see you in a way I've never seen you before,
Yeah.
right? Like there's something different. And
I was
all that
thinking the
other
same thing about
stuff.
you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But all that other stuff is like Dorothy and that tornado and the Wizard of Oz or being in the eye of a hurricane. And you're right. It's all meant to distract us.
Yeah.
You can see the division that's being pushed. It's an old playbook that's been prophesized for centuries. And here we are. Are we goddesses and gods in the flesh, or are we full of shit?
Maybe it's both. I mean,
Well, there it is. There it is, right there.
right? I mean, I can look and see how we've been playing up to this. I mean, I know that there's been more, but I really do begin with the COVID. narrative.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
we look at COVID, and many want to think that it's, did you get the medical intervention or did you not? And that's not it. It's, how did you treat your fellow man who chose different?
Yeah.
Did you, were you in fear? Did you ostracize, right? And we all had our things. It was not an easy time period. So it's not a matter of blame. That's not what this is. It's a self-checking and going, oh, I can totally see
Mm.
where I was judging people recently. Recently, I was judging people who are constantly in masks, right? I'm like, what is going on? And then I was struggling to cry. I was like, I knew I needed to cry, right? So I start watching Grey's Anatomy, and I don't watch a lot of TV, and I definitely don't watch TV when it's like on network, right?
Right,
So it's
right.
usually something on Netflix I might catch. And I was watching Grey's Anatomy during the COVID time period. The propaganda that was thrown at people, that was rough.
Yeah,
It was so much rougher than what I experienced in my personal life, and I didn't understand that level of propaganda. And now I look at people in masks and I'm like, I get it. I
yeah,
get it.
yeah,
And I really hope that, not the ones that are like, I'm sick and I'm wearing a mask because, but the ones that are doing it for fear
yeah,
of your fellow man.
yeah,
And I really hope that they receive some type of understanding and healing within themselves so that they can let some of that fear down. So it's no longer the judgment of like, what are they doing? They're in the car by themselves. It's more now, it's the, you're hurting,
yeah,
you're scared.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
And
a different way of being.
I think about you. Did you know Franco? Did you know who he was?
Mm-mm.
Franco de Nicola. Okay, so I did 52 shows with him,
Wow.
and we formed a pretty strong bond. And he was like the keynote at the first Soulgy Fest. Anyway, we're very good friends, and we both caught COVID on the same day, virtually at the same time, and he transitioned like
Oh.
10 days later. Franco, by the way, Franco had and his partner, Kimberly Ross, put together a series called Advancing Consciousness, which is 204 videos, and it's on YouTube and Vimeo, and it's got it all. So I started having shows with him in 2018, and quickly found out that he was a very like high frequency, like I've not met anyone to date. All right. He had full recollection of other planetary lives. He had full recollection of being on the I guess you would say the design team, the architect team of designing this particular realm or this part of the galaxy or whatever. He had full recollection of being in the womb with his twin. And just to give you a little bit more, he's from Canada. In high school, 17, 18 years old, he was inventing hydrogen motors and other type of alternative energy, and he had a contract with the Department of Defense with the U.S. government. He's like Men in Black visits. I mean, this guy was highly exceptional. But anyway, so as they started to come out on the show, he had been doing this work, but he hadn't been talking about the things that we talk about.
Mhm.
They started coming on the show. He's like, well, I can't really talk about that. I said, wait a minute, this is Soulogy. We can talk about anything. So that's how it all started. So one of the things that he was able to do was to see where things were going. And at the end of 21, he passed in October. I would say like in August, September of 21. He was talking about this period,
Mm.
literally saying, toward the end of 25, going into 26, that the blinders would be coming off. And, from and again, he would say this is a snapshot because we all have to make these decisions. It's a unanimous choice, everything that we do, right? And
Mhm.
so he said, but this is what it looks like. And to me, what it looks like is the distortion, the distraction, the propaganda, the orchestration is going to get louder and louder, but our individual expansion is going to match it
Yeah.
or supersede it. But that's at a local level, which is a
Yeah.
bit weird because uh, but because of the higher telepathy, I think we're getting the message across. The message is getting out there.
Yeah.
Um, and then one other thing happened that was really significant. When he passed, his partner called me on the phone. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'm talking to her, and a blue light went off above me. I said, "There's a blue light here." you know? So I get off the phone, and then he comes in the room with a bunch of tall kind of ETs, right?
Mhm.
And they put this thing on my head, and some stuff happened. So he came to see me, a few times, right? And one time he came shortly after he passed. He said, he said, everything that when it happens, everything that you think is not going to be true. And I said, everything? He said, everything. Everything out there that you think you know what's going on is not going to be. It's almost like, the curtain's going to get pulled back and you're going to see what's really going on. But, he didn't go into specifics, but that really stuck with me. And I
Yeah.
keep thinking about that now, like, as we've been shedding and, you know, peeling the onion like never before, and I said, like you were talking about your husband saying, well, if the shit goes down, we're not going to be here. And that's my attitude. My attitude is, you know, hey, I mean, I can fast. I can physically transition. I can, whatever. It's not that important. I'm not going to get caught up in because that's like the biggest, I guess, like the biggest attachment or whatever you want to call it is that survival, death,
Mhm.
the fear that they uh, use to promote it. You know,
Yeah,
so it's kind of like a mask. You know,
it
like
is.
my brothers. And by the way, I know you didn't. You're totally what you had to say about the mask and COVID and everything. I totally agree with you. This is a test run for compassion,
Mhm.
and it's interesting because of uh, the way one side kind of looked at the other side, okay, and now it's kind of flipped.
Yeah.
And I kind of cringe sometimes when I see some of these posts on social media that are taking shots at people. No pun intended. I have friends that did that. That had the vax and the boosters and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And
there's,
but that's just a test run, like you said. And I think what's happened, what we're coming into now is going to be far, and that's what I feel. I feel like there's going to be something at that level or greater, and I think it's going to happen pretty quick, like even maybe by the end of the month.
yeah, me too. Me too. But I see the posts where people are saying that those that received the vaccine, they're talking about how many are going to die. And I am like, you are casting spells on people.
Yep.
You're casting spells. See everyone who got the vaccine in ultimate pure health. And it's like some of the most spiritual people, loving, kind-hearted people are then saying, oh, well, they said 3 to 5 years after the vaccine, people are going to die. And it's like, stop, just stop.
Yeah,
Stop. You're a creator being. Don't create that for your fellow man.
it's a good point.
And so it's really fascinating when I watch all of that. And because I am to this point now where everything is this constant mirror.
Yeah,
If I catch a behavior in someone, right? And I'm like, ooh, I can see the sabotage. I then go, okay, where am I doing it to myself? Because I am,
yeah, yeah.
or I wouldn't even see it, right? So it's this constant pulling it back. And what really got me was, do you remember when the United Healthcare CEO guy got killed?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I wasn't thrilled that he was dead, but I didn't for a second give him, his wife, or his children compassion. Not a second.
Mm,
And it was like, I was like, well, because I mean, I've had my own insurance insanity. We all have, right?
mhm.
And it was like, well, and it was very much, well, maybe things will change. And so when this whole thing with Charlie Kirk happened, I sat back and was like, I can see my own lack of compassion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where I feel like we need to be,
Yeah.
is
Well,
constantly checking ourselves. And in that checking, it's like going, okay, I see it. I see it. And then moving
yeah.
back into that state of open-hearted compassion without shaming yourself
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
going into the guilt, because that's not going to work.
Well, I mean that's the whole, it's and then there's events that don't get the press.
Hmm.
Okay. So because even social media, I mean, I question everything.
Yeah, me
I mean,
too.
a lot of people are very pro Elon Musk. I'm not pro or con,
I
but
don't know the truth.
but I have an X account and there's a tremendous amount of controlled propaganda on there. I mean, you can tell what stories are being driven,
Yes, you
so
can.
I mean, and then just the way that nobody really steps up. I remember when Trump won in 2016 and I went into the bathroom. I was in Arkansas. I just gotten on the road, uh, and I went in there and I did one of my videos with the camera with the phone. And I said at the time, I said, listen, I mean, I'm not pro or con any of this, but when is somebody of that stature going to stand up and say, fuck this shit? This is what's going on. I'm a star seat. These guys are assholes. I'm not afraid to die. The
Yeah,
intelligence community is controlling this or whatever it is. Somebody that just says, I'm not afraid to die
yeah,
because I'm an eternal soul, or, it speaks our language, it speaks the real language. Because I don't see anybody doing it. In
no.
fact, what I'm seeing now, and again, Franco talked about this because I asked him one time, I said, it's really along the lines of what you're talking about. I said, what goes on in the heads of the bad actors? You know, do they know what they're doing? And he said, well, everything's relative. Some of them do, some of them don't. You take 100 people over here, they're going to be 10 smart ones, da 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 da. And he said, but imagine this, their job is to make it so loud and so ridiculous that you choose yourself. And that's what happened with COVID.
Yeah,
It woke a lot of people up.
yeah.
Both my parents are in their late 80s. They both got everything. My mom ends up having 6 weeks later, after she's had a nuclear test, which is, I guess, the most extensive cardiac screening you can do, she passed with flying colors, never had a problem. Six
Hmm.
weeks later, she's having open heart surgery and they pull out a thing, a clot, those things are pulling out. My dad, same thing. My dad has a stroke and da 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 da. But yeah, that's what he was saying. He was saying they'll make it so ridiculous, and that's what I'm seeing now. So if you look at different figures, or it would be at a government organization or an individual, look at what's being said. One day it's this, and the next day it's a 180. So there's this contradiction of ridiculousness that's occurring, and I think probably is really happening is the world's going to really see what's going on,
Hmm.
what's really behind all this. And that's going to be a shocker for people. Just like the information coming out about the vaccines is a shock for people.
Yeah.
I mean, I have tremendous compassion for those people. If I was in how would I feel? How do any of us feel when we've stood on a conviction and then we find out the rug's just been pulled out from under us? We've all been there. These are dark nights of
All
the soul,
been there.
right? When
Yeah,
everything's gone, everything's taken away, and you have nothing to stand on, and you have egg on your face.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of humble pie being offered. I'm eating it.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I think that there's something, I don't know if we've ever shared, but I had my humongous health crisis and we lost our farm and, packed four kids up and went across the country with no jobs and nothing. And I mean, it was just on pure faith and that losing of everything.
Mm,
My God, it's one of the most important things you could go through.
yeah.
It changes everything because at the same time, I was working for Hopkins and I was a health advocate. I'd go out in the community and I'd speak and I pushed vaccines. And then it was like, boom, my oldest was vaccine injured. And I mean, even then, I was still like, no, POTS, HPV vaccine, no, that's not possible. So possible. Then the little one, she lost her colors, her numbers, her nursery rhymes, she lost it all. And then I am the caregiver, went to the pediatrician, and he told us we were full of crap. We didn't know what we were talking about. And we're like, this child, because I delayed vaccines, she was almost 2.5, was just everything, talking, everything was, um, and to be that gaslit, right? And then to find out that this pediatrician made $45,000 that year in how many people were vaccinated. And so it was like, for me, it was the crumble of what I believed with medical. And then it was the financial crumble of every identity I had except for wife and mother left.
Mm,
And it was really important.
yeah.
It was absolutely important. And then the identity of mother changed because the mother that I was very self-sacrificing, like, PTA president and doing all this correct and da da da. Oh God, I drove myself nuts. I mean, like whole gerbil wheel, right?
Yeah.
And
And-
all of that had to change because none of that was truth.
right.
And
Yeah.
so the collapses, I've had to keep this in mind through the years, particularly as a practitioner, to where spirit will say to me all the time, what if somebody had saved you from your collapse? Would they have actually been saving you? And
No.
I'm,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
they would have been hindering me.
Yeah.
I needed the full collapse. But I actually had a conversation in France with Yeshua, and it was talking about soul roles. And we're in a duality. We know that. We learn from it. We learn really well in contrast, and we learn quick in contrast. There are souls in this reality who are absolutely what we call dark players,
Right.
who are on their soul's path.
Yeah.
It's their role.
Yeah.
And it's for us to go, okay, I can see your role. Thank you very much for everything you taught me.
Yeah.
And that's not an easy stance when what we see that they're doing is hard. It's rough. It's horrific in some cases, right? So it can be really hard to keep that honoring of the human who is like, what the this reality is insane, and honoring that greater design of this entire experience and not getting lost in the bitterness and the ugh. But I don't know if I shared with you one time when my mom was transitioning, it was in 2023. She, my mom was a lot, just like many star seeds. It's like we've had really, really rough beginnings and many things in life have been rough. Um, and when my mom would go into her stuff, her eyes would flash and they would twist, and I could feel a being would come in, right? And then something would happen, she'd stop, and my sister and I would be like these devastated little kids on the floor, and then she would snap out of it, right? And then she would be so angry with herself and just the self-hatred she would throw on herself for everything she had done. And so she's in her death process, and I was working with the energy of just unraveling it all, unraveling my experience as her daughter through all the waves. Because I mean, eventually as an adult, she was someone who supported me completely. Um, so I go and I get in the shower, and my shower is like my place, right? It's
Mhm.
like meditating there. I love it. And all of a sudden there was a being, and instantly I was like, you are the being in my mother. Like I knew it like that. And I'm like, why are you here? And I'm like, are you leaving my mother now that she's dying? And this being looks at me and says, my agreement was never with your mother. It was with you and your sister.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I literally hit the floor and was like, besides mind blown, it was just like this gut-wrenching sob
Yeah.
of like, I still don't, I still can't tell you why I needed that experience as a child. I don't know. But I know I contracted it, right? So after I'm going through all of this, and Dan comes home and he's kind of looking at me. And at this point, he kind of like when he comes home and I've got a particular look, he's like, oh, hell, what now? I mean, and I'm like, honey, I said, and I'm trying to explain to him what I had learned and everything. And he's like looking at me like I have 20 heads. And I said, look, I said, if I leave this experience and I am not graduating, and because I haven't been murdered, and I need to come back in to be murdered, I said, who do you think I'm going to ask?
Exactly.
I was like, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah,
And I said, why? Because you love me.
that's right.
And I was like, so you would do the hard thing. You would not only kill me, but you would be willing to either hold that in if you weren't caught and you have the guilt and the whatever. You would be willing to go to jail and experience that for me. And it's all from a state of love. And so it was like was trying to explain to him, and I finally did get through. And I'm like, I understand now. My mother loved me completely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My soul told me this in a very similar circumstance. Um, so just it was it's a family member, and and like you said, these are the dynamics we signed up for. It's part
Mhm.
of it, right?
Mhm.
Um, and my soul came in and said, who do you think? Because this is contractual at a soul level. Even
Yeah.
that being or entity was had a contract. I mean, that's what they're saying to you. And so my soul said, who do you think is going to play these antagonistic roles in your life, but that who is closest to you in the heavens, basically.
Mhm.
It's soul family. So, and then if you extrapolate that to the entire world, because one is one,
Yes.
then, that's the crazy mother-in-law, or that's my crazy mom, or my dad, or I mean, that, you know what I mean? It's just an extrapolation of it. Whatever we're doing here, it's never been done. Like
Yeah.
we've heard too many people report that, including Dolores Cannon, including Casey, you know, and so many people that transmit and channel. This is the big time. Like we are, coming out. Uh,
Hmm.
but we're gonna be pushed like we've all been pushed. Like if you ask me, it's gonna be like the world goes through a dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
Like we've all done that. And so now this summer, I've been being told, you're being prepared. You being many of us being prepared. You're being prepared because the ship's about to hit the fan.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of those, right?
Yeah.
I just take it day by day. Uh, and so I feel it now. And the idea being that, we've all come here, we've gotten reawoken, we've gotten purpose, guidance, we've developed certain things, serve in certain ways. And and I think, that's kind of how we feel we will serve. But I
Hmm.
really, I really feel, and that's true, in part, you do what you do, I do what I do. But the real service is going to be to hold our to hold our field together. And that as a transmitter, you know what I mean? Like its energy
Uh-huh.
is going to you know override or stabilize the distortion, no matter what the distortion looks like, because it's real power. The distortion is like archonic power, or whatever narrative you want to use, or character from a narrative you want to use. That power cannot manifest. It can only present and distort and try to take your focus, which is what this whole game has been about. So
Right.
it's an interesting conversion and transition. And I know a lot of people have had an intense summer right up through this solstice. These triple nines and the eclipses, and it's been on.
And on.
Which is one of the things I wanted to ask you too. I've seen two or three places, credible places, where people are talking about, well, it's this time now, really. The 27th is a triple nine day. So it's a 28th, 29, 30, and 30th, right? 28, 29, 30th, that they're going to be the most powerful. Like the month's going to spit us out. This is a month of completion and a year of completion, and
Hmm.
spit us out into the next month, which is what, new beginnings. But are
Yeah.
you are you getting any feel for I know it's kind of a dumb question now because we don't ever get a day off anymore anyway.
We don't. We do not get a day off anymore. There is no downtime, and it's constant. It's a constant pushing. And I will say, I feel as if what happened Sunday with the funeral, because it was so emotionally charged, I feel like it was a loosh.
Damn right it was.
What'd you say?
I said, you're damn right it was.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that leash was to pull through the emotions of the humans, the creators, and to create something. And it's to create that negative timeline or that lower continuation of duality and continuation of the crap timeline, right? And what it's done is for those of us who are holding the line of the higher timeline, we're feeling a little stretched.
Mm,
And so it's interesting the past few days, um, and definitely this morning when I woke up and I was like, okay, let me feel into this. It's like I feel the stretch. I feel the, if there's something that's putting pressure on the ones holding the line, there's more pressure. But simultaneously, there's more people holding the line. And that came
yeah.
in after September 10th. So that's interesting. It's almost like this, it's getting rougher, but there's more of us to hold it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there may be times where we drop it because we're not in compassion, right? And then it's like, oh, snap back to yourself and grab that line.
Yeah. That's
Grab
it.
that line
That's it. Like personal things that happen, things that come up. This is what's happening. We're snapping back very quick.
really
And,
quick.
and you know what I mean? Because again, it's a narcissistic realm, which means it's irrational. You can't be logical, rational with it. You
Yeah.
know, and if you've ever had, and we all have, and where is it in me? I'm not saying that it's not me. I'm just saying, have you ever run into the type of energy that kind of like stirs the shit up and then sits back and watches
And then
everything?
just watches the shit show.
Uh-huh. Because that's it,
That
right?
is it.
And
That is
and uh,
it.
and going back to the Lucian thing, yeah, this has been the playbook. Nine
Hmm.
eleven 9/11 was that,
Yep.
obviously COVID was that. And and so you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So they only have one playbook. And I think what's happening is, you talk about that stretching. We're getting to a point where we're saying, hey, that's enough. I'm
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah.
Like this has been a hell of a ride. Thank you very much. You know, and it's interesting because during this time of the last couple of weeks, I've had, obviously, I have these lucid dreams, and I had about three of them where there were many of us. And it felt like we were on a ship coming to Earth. Okay. Like we were coming to merge with our human aspect or
Okay.
something like that. But the feel of it was everybody was excited. We were all dressed in white. Everybody was excited because it was like we had been rehearsing to perform like this great play or movie or something. And we were so we had practiced so much that nobody was nervous. Everybody knew we were going to kick ass and take names.
Yeah.
So there's that part of it, or the part where people say, this has been done in the energetic field. Now it's got to play out in the physical. So
Yeah.
I kind of lean that way, but it doesn't take any pressure off of, these basic rules or of the road, which is number one, be present.
Hmm.
So, be present with it all.
Yeah. With it all, even the ugly
Yeah.
and the uncomfortable, just be present with it and honor it.
Mhm.
Um, so, you're talking about like the narcissistic realm, and you think about like, how do you deal with a narcissist? You stop playing with them.
Mm.
You can't fix it. You can't, you can allow it not to gaslight you, right? You can go, that's your crap, not mine. But often the easiest way is to go, I'm going this way. You go play with people who still want to play because I
Right.
don't want to play anymore. And that's really kind of how we need to deal with this reality.
which I think is that's what I was saying, where people say I've had enough. Like,
Yeah, done.
and it happens in little things. Like if I think of like one of my parents, right, with the whole COVID thing, it brought them to a higher level of truth, even though it wasn't comfortable. And it's just a pattern that we're seeing, which is you get to a point and say, oh, well, I can't trust that anymore.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to conform. I'm not going to follow your rules to whatever degree they can. So I really feel like, especially people like you, people that come on the show, that somewhere inside of them, in the what I would call the I am soul, which is the heart and the mind, they say, I've had enough.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've had enough. Oh, you're going to put boots on the ground? I'm going to go eat some chicken wings and have a beer, because I'm not gonna sweat the load here.
Yeah.
And I feel too that the, and I've heard this a lot in the last few weeks, both in my own experience and talking to people, and that is we have a tremendous amount of support. They're standing right next to us. Ask them, because now the connection is stronger than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot of not instant manifestation,
But
but
almost.
frequency, yeah, a massive acceleration of synchronicities and like you said, everything that you're experiencing speaking to you now, and when you make a choice for yourself, things just start happening.
Hmm.
I know it's been like that for me the last couple of weeks. It's just been mind blowing.
Mind blowing. And, it's funny, we're in France. My husband was driving, and, he doesn't get into this as much as I do. He's kind of along for the ride so many ways. But he's really kind of coming into his own. And he's like, we could really use a picnic table right about now, because we were going to eat lunch before going to this particular location. And we had stopped at a grocery store. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And we turned the corner and there's like a little area with picnic tables and a park, and I'm like, and there it is. And it's like that. It's like everything is conspiring for you
Yeah,
to give you what you need, even if what you need is a difficult experience,
yeah,
and that's where it gets really tricky, right?
yeah,
For us to kind of look at things and go, I needed that hit. I had to
yeah,
see what was under there, because what's under there that makes it so that whatever it was a hit is a vulnerability.
yeah, yeah.
And now we're trying to clean all that up is what it feels like to me.
I mean, we've drilled down so much, and the energy is such that, I mean, we're seeing things at the microscopic level within ourselves. I've
Uh-huh.
been paying a lot of attention and that's another thing. I feel that in discussing with people and just observing my own experience, our skills and abilities in third eye and psychic abilities is increasing quick.
Very
And
quickly.
And so that gives you even more information or more to paint your picture with. But what I'm noticing is like the side by side thing again. One is intuition, and the other one is insecurity.
Mm,
Now I'm a pretty confident person, but we're at a level now where we can see the little patterns and the
yeah.
rhythms that
Yeah.
are so minute and subtle. So that to me is a kind of a driver for me. Like, okay, you got this signal, you got this signal, you got this signal, where all these pieces kind of showed up. Uh, I'm not going to build a story around it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep walking towards it, and the picnic table is going to show up, and this is going to show up. I mean, it's a weird thing. You can't attach to anything. And I love what
And
you said at the beginning. Because that's really what it comes down to. I mean, some things are very literal, some things are everything's a metaphor. But your story about, and I do remember most of it from the first show. But when you lose everything, you
mhm.
know, when you lose everything, and I remember because mine was very similar, because I went to the streets for 2 years, and 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 when I came out of it and I got a phone, I started doing videos. And one of the first videos I did was me standing in the rain, pacing back and forth, saying, how do you find your soul and test your faith? Take everything away, every single thing. Oh, well, yeah, I'm going to take everything away, but Jesus is going to come. And I love Yeshua. Don't get me wrong. I'm just making a point. No, take that away too. Take a lot away.
Yes.
Take everything away, every single thing. And I feel like that's that's like, being forced or nudged or pushed or shoved into going within.
Yeah.
And,
Because
like
there's
you said,
nothing left.
yeah,
There's nothing left. And I'm really glad for me, a lot of that happened before. I mean, I know Facebook was a thing in 2010, but it wasn't as much of a thing now, right? Because I think that I would have gone into distraction and I
yeah,
would have prolonged my collapse. You know what I mean? Like I could have gone greater into the stories, the all the things.
right, right. Yes, yes, I get that. Yeah, and and I did the last one I did was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was out at the beach and my soul's like, you got to go live right now. I'm like, no, I don't want to be going live right now. But all this stuff was happening. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And that was what it was about. Part of it was about, um, you know, even because we damn these things, we
Mhm.
damn Facebook, but there's always another side to it. And now I can say this, because when you're in it, you can't always say it. But this is going kind of what you're talking about. We all were given this new toy. We all started to present ourselves, one way or the other. So we
Yeah,
developed this persona. Now, is that persona something that I believe and know to be perfectly aligned with and true, or is there another part of me? You know what I mean? So
sure.
there's been this whole thing where we've had to come uh, to Jesus with ourselves, like have a come to Jesus meeting and face things. And it's no longer just a bunch of words. People are doing it. And I also feel that, like my soul told me, y'all did everything you came to do in those 12 years, and it was in distortion. So those seeds were planted. And in those 12 years, we were not getting the reciprocation. There was not an
Yeah,
equilibrium.
yeah,
But with the universe, you're always going to get it back. And now we're in this period of getting it back, but we're going to have the contrast, which you brought up in the beginning, of a greater distortion.
yeah. A couple things. You reminded me of something. I went to a music festival recently that was just mind-blowing and amazing. The feeling, the unity, the love that was out there. It was like a 4-day music festival where you camped and it
Wow.
was really wonderful. And the group I was with made shirts, right? And so the name on the back of the shirt was Shama Mama, right? And it was a joke. It was funny, and I liked the way that it Shama Mama on my lips, right? But I told my husband, I said, I really wish it was just Jenny because I'm so much more
Yeah,
than abilities, right? I'm just Jenny
right.
in all of my facets, right? And I've only scratched the surface
Yeah,
of who am I, But it is interesting because we really do. You're right. I mean, like we got onto Facebook and we created personas and we had to label ourselves or how else do people find us and what are the
right,
words
right.
but all of those labels are limits.
Yeah,
They just box us in. And it's so interesting because we have a world right now that wants to label everything.
yeah,
And yet it feels like freedom is the exact opposite. It's the no labels. It's the no rules. It's the no strong, I don't know.
yeah. There's, I mean, I don't know I think there's this 12 laws of the universe. I just know one, which is what goes around comes around. Like
Yeah.
that just takes everything out of it. And, but the law of interference, like you were saying, like if what your soul said or your guide said about, what if somebody had come and saved you from that,
Mhm.
right? Like, if we look at these things in their subtle nature, we can see where we were enabling others, enabling ourselves, enabling the perpetuation of this, this shared experience that, you know, purportedly anyway, that what we're being told is all this doom and gloom stuff, right? But we're doing it. We've been doing it. I don't know how many millions of people there are. I don't know how many of us there are, so to speak, that have come to play this role. But we've done the work. We
Hmm.
have to we have to start understanding that that's the most powerful, energetic expression and force we could emit is to put ourselves first, knowing that as we raise the bar within ourselves, we're going to be at best for our loved ones and then everything out from there. And that's a real force that no one talks about. They don't talk about this esoteric stuff about these individuals all over the world kicking ass and taking names. Even on, and I'm not knocking anybody, I'm just saying, even on large platforms by the numbers
Yeah.
that have these themes, it's a dog and pony show,
Yeah.
for me, because it's not about the boots on the ground. It's not about, and that's what it's about. This is what the universe is watching. It's watching each one of us in our own personal journey, thoughts, words, and action, becoming more and more and more aligned by our free will with universal will, which
Hmm.
is, which is take the chill pill, relax. Nothing's gonna, what are you worried about? You live forever. And I don't mean to be making light of it, but there is a magic to this deep, dense physical experience that we paid our dues, and now we're going to be able to utilize energy, work with energy in such a way that we're going to create things and make the pyramids look like nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and then, like Dolores Cannon says with some of those people that she, gave sessions to, they'll come out and say, "Oh my God, this is just a movie. We're just having a play." You know, so
Yep.
we did a good job. I mean, we've done a great job developing um, a realm that, and who better to fake you out but yourself? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember when I was really first awakening, and I kept going, I don't understand. What are we doing? Why are we here?
Yeah.
Like none of it made any sense to me. And what they said has always stuck. And it's that the ones here are the leaders there.
Yeah.
And I said, well, okay, but then why? Like, what is the purpose? And they said to me, what if your leaders, okay, so we're talking, let's talk the president or Congress or parliament or whatever. What if they had intimate knowledge of starvation, war, rape,
Mm,
whatever, all of these things, if they had intimate knowledge, how would it influence their decisions?
yeah.
And it would,
Yeah.
right? So they had said there's so many here, all these souls here that are in this experience are leaders elsewhere. And you're going to walk away from this experience going, I understand what can be created and what it feels like to be in this position or have this happen. So my decisions and how I go forward once this experience is done is going to be colored by this experience
Yeah. Yeah.
because we've learned and it's in that learning to where we can say I don't need these games anymore. I'm done and I can hold the line and wait until everyone else is done
Yeah.
because that's essentially what's being asked of us now.
I agree with you. I feel like, well, my soul told me a long time ago that when you guys get done with this, you will be like a universal soldier. You will be able to go anywhere because you carry the code of everything. And
Yes.
we can all agree that Mother Earth has been seeded, hybridized, whatever, by everything under the sun.
Yeah.
You know, we're dealing with elementals and natural spirits and angels, and you know, the ETs seem to be our facilitators, or maybe we are them. You know,
Hmm.
I get that a lot. I'll get, you know, I'm on a ship, I'm in stasis in a
Yeah.
pod
Yeah.
with my friends, and we go to into that hibernation, and we move our soul to a body, and we go
Yeah.
have this experience, and so it's almost like, you know, if you have the soul lineage is the trunk of the tree, and then we created this other one, this fat branch that's the human lineage,
Hmm.
and it's become this thing. It's like the, you know, like they say, you know, there's, you know, I've heard people, you know, even recently talk about how many billions of souls are lined up to come here
Hmm.
because of the potential and the offering, the opportunity. And you know, and then the other thing too is like if you just take this show as an example, because it started in 2017. Uh, so you got thousands of episodes. How can you have a basic template of most everyone that's come on this show talking about the same things? I mean, the same thing, right? I was put into this family. I was suppressed. I tried to fit in. I couldn't fit in. I made myself sick. I then had a bunch of traumas. I woke up, and now I'm doing light language, and I'm healing, you know, myself and other people. And how the hell does this happen? You
Right.
know, and I don't see that press out there. I don't see that on these big light worker platforms. All I see is
Yeah.
stories and ego. And I'm not throwing shade on anyone because I'm very guilty. I've done it all. But this is the story. And I said for years on the show, I get passionate, but I mean, I've said this needs to go mainstream,
Hmm.
and that's been my desire is to tell the world about Jenny, and tell the world about, you know, the people that were on yesterday, and tell the world about this guy, this kid Ben I met 3 weeks ago, and I've had him on twice since. This autistic guy who had this massive awakening, and he's tapped in and had, you know, this is what the world needs to see, you know. And I think what you said at the beginning of the show about the witch, you know, the witch uh, experience or labels and all that. Yeah, I think there's a reason, because it's coming back up now.
Yeah.
And like you said, which is a great analogy too for this, we've already been through this, and we're not doing the same thing again. Okay, so whether it's to be applied in this particular branch of the tree again, or to go to the next incarnation somewhere else in another galaxy, it's the same thing. We
It's
didn't
the
come
same
all
thing.
the we didn't come all this way for nothing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
I I really I've had people reach out to me recently and they're worried about being left behind and like you're not going to be left behind, right? The only thing that you need to do is check yourself.
yeah,
Have compassion, right? Do your best to stay out of the fray, out of the duality. Remove your energy from that insanity and take that excess energy in. That's it.
yeah,
It's simple and hard.
yeah. Well, that's it,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's what I'm saying. I feel like the split happened in us. I mean, how many people that I know, including myself, that in the last few months ended up in isolation by themselves, got mood, this, that, you know, and it was like a virus. Like
Yeah.
everybody, I talked to so many people. Almost every person that comes on the show, when I'll say, "How's it going?" they'll just kind of roll their eyes and go, "Oh my God, man, the last few days have been wild." So, so something's going on, you know,
Yeah.
something's happening, and I see that Atlas 3 thing,
Hmm.
like you said, everything's speaking to you. I see it at a minimum. It's a metaphor, just like my dreams. Oh, I feel like we're on a ship and we're literally going to go land and meet our, meet our other aspect. Like, how's that going to work? But the energy of that.
Yeah.
So it's like the people this month talking about, I've had my final galactic embodiment. I experienced it myself.
Mm,
I went in, somebody gave me a session, I listened to it, and and I don't normally do that. And I did, and boom, like, so something's in the water. And I feel that those, let's just say those bad actors or whatever you want to call it, that really represent the old that's not letting go and trying everything they can to stay. I feel like they know it too.
yeah.
Like they know it's inevitable. This is happening. It's bigger than all of us. So, let go or be dragged.
Well, I
And
mean, I think bottom line, you've got the human, right? And so the bad actors or really good actors, because I think it'd be hard to play a bad role personally.
yeah,
Um, because I've tapped into lives where I did play the bad role and it was not easy.
yeah,
Because it really is going against your own innate beingness, right? To be in that bad role. But I think at the end of the day, like, yes, their human is kind of going, oh, the role may be ending and there could be survival things and all sorts of craziness, right? But underneath it, I think their souls are celebrating too.
yeah, I agree.
Um, I had a really interesting dream, and I was in this dream, I was a huge hall, and I came up, and it was Baphomet was sitting on this huge throne, and it says to me, it's like, so now have you come to serve me? And I'm like, I will never serve you. I've never served you. It's never going to happen, right? And then all of a sudden, we both bust out laughing.
Right.
And then he says to me, how are you doing? I said, I'm okay. I'm tired.
Yeah,
And he's, it's almost done. We're almost done, and we've done a really good job.
yeah.
And I said, okay. I said, now we go back to being enemies. And we started laughing, and the dream was over. Right. And I woke up with this feeling of like, I don't know,
Yeah.
just like it's all a
That
wash in the end,
that
right?
that was real.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, that's, I talked about this about a week ago on the show. We got into this, and I'm like, and I'm nuts. I mean, but this whole thing with the demons in the dark, I sat with mine. I sat with
Mhm.
mine over and over and over again. Uh, to the point of, addiction, to the point of, other things, bad situations, jail.
Yeah.
But those are, I guess in a way, I will leave it like this. Those are most of my proudest moments.
Mm.
And I don't, and I gain respect for myself, not because I did these things, but because I didn't run from the things I've done, you know,
Yes.
and sat with these demons because they've taught me.
Yeah.
They've taught me so much. It's pretty easy to say, "Oh yeah, I'm the light," but it's
Yeah.
not so easy to go into the shadow and say, "Well, somebody did that, and that's why it happened." Or, no, no, no excuses, no story. That was you. You get it? And
Yeah.
and and when you can merge with that, you
Yes.
know, that's like, you know, that's it. That's the meeting you had with Baphomet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they put me in a they put me in a well, and, energetically. I mean, it was 1,000 nights, two rounds of 1,000 nights, and him and three of his minions would come in and sodomize me and torture me every night. You know.
Yeah.
Now, when I was going through it, and I'm looking up at the top, and I see my team, and I'm going, "Well, why don't you guys
What are you doing?
come get
Yeah.
me?" But that's the whole thing, the
Yeah.
law of interference. Like they told you, like what would have happened, or would you have want somebody to save you? Well, if they had reached, sent a rope down and pulled me up, I wouldn't be who I am today. And I'm
Correct.
and I'm, we're pushing the envelope here. I really believe that there's a bunch of us here on the front end of this thing, and maybe we came in to save the planet, although I don't really buy that.
I think we
I
can
think,
save ourselves.
well, I think we came to reap the benefits, or reap the what we've sown, and to
Yeah.
be part of this well, it's beyond awakening, because
Yeah.
it's moving into creation now.
Yeah.
I just wonder if I'm going to transition and come back again. Uh, but then that's just the human mind, like,
Yeah.
because
I mean,
there's
I've
a part,
had those discussions and I'm
yeah.
like, if I got to, fine, but can I not go through the veil again, please? Like, can you just put me to where I left off?
See, I'd like to live, and I feel like that's my mindset. I'm developing my mindset. I'm going to live over 800 years. I feel like
Mm,
it's intuitive, but it could be my insecurity or my human programming. I don't know. But I really feel like it's less of a literal thing, and what we're coming into is more like dreamlike, like lucid dreamlike, or dimensional experience like.
mhm.
Uh, that there's a real thickness here, like you're in quicksand or slow motion,
Yeah.
or you're moving slow, like you do in a dream sometimes when you try to run, and you
Yeah.
can't run fast enough. But that's kind of weird. That hasn't happened in a long time for me. I wonder if that's changed for people. But yeah, there's that unknown thing, really,
Yeah.
and that's part of it too. Is and I'm seeing that with people, and I'm seeing it with myself. Like you said, where are you going? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I did,
Yeah.
and now I don't know.
Same.
I'm like,
Same. I mean, physically, I know where I'm going to be, right?
mm,
I'm smack dab in between five military bases for a reason, but where everything that I'm working on and doing is heading, no idea.
God, I didn't think of that. You're right in the center of it all.
I am.
You're
I got
probably you're
NORAD
probably
and Space Command,
yeah,
and
you're probably standing on a huge underground city.
it's there's a ley line that runs under here.
Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, this house fell into our lap, and and after bankruptcy and obviously very bad credit, us getting this house makes no sense other than
that's
I
it.
moved you right here. Yeah, yeah.
See, my soul is we're coming into 25. kept kept telling me right after the solstice. I could see it, I could feel it. They would come in and tell me, look behind you, look at the patterns, look at those things. Like like how did this happen? Look at all these miraculous things. Now look in front of you, and you will see the same thing if you look.
100%. And I have to check myself a lot on that.
Mm.
If I get into my mind, I'm like, wait a minute, I've always been provided for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And even the bad times were the amazing times, right? Like for the growth. And so I do have to keep that in mind. But do you want to hear a crazy story?
Mm.
And this it's another reason I think I'm in this area. So for years, I've had dreams of being in the Air Force, right? And even running the Air Force marathons. And I've always known that I was like in these dreams, I could always see mountains, but didn't know anything until I moved here. And I'm like, these are the mountains. And in these dreams, there was a point in time to where I was with the Air Force high up, and I was working on special projects, communicating with extraterrestrials, and giving that information back, but to the military, right?
Right.
And a lot of it was technological stuff. And so then um, I had this experience. My youngest was 9. And in this dream, this rocket lands in my backyard. And I come tearing out of the door, and I'm like, get off my property. You can't have her. She wants to be a child. And I am throwing an absolute fit. I'm like, get the F out of here. Like, I mean, losing it in this dream. And I then wake up and I'm like, what the hell was that? But it put me on guard, right? I'm like, because I knew they were coming after Maddie, and put me on massive guard. And so then I think it was last summer. I think it was last summer. I had this dream that it was back in the lifetime Air Force. Okay. And I had had a son who was beyond brilliant. And I knew Earth could only teach him so much. So I agreed that he could go. And so it was like, oof, I'm gonna get emotional. So in this
Wow.
dream, it's like I'm telling him he was 14, and I'm like handing him over to it was like Arcturians and those beings, and I was like, teach him. so he can, and I knew that one day he would come back. But then it was like the next 10 years, I could see myself just, I was alone. He was my only child. I didn't have a mate. And it was like I could see just the weight of grief,
Mm.
right? What it had done. And I continued working and I was constantly waiting for him to contact me. And, it's like, and so I'm slogging through my life, right? And so then there was one night I just go to bed and then I wake up and I hear mom, and it was the young voice.
Oh, wow.
And I go running downstairs and he's back and he's 14 and we had done a complete time loop, but his eyes were different. And there was a light in his eyes and I just looked at him and he says, "I know how to help the planet now."
Wow.
And I said, "Okay." And it was the weirdest thing because it was like I was so glad he was back, but I still grieved the boy that left. And so this was last summer. I think I cried for days,
Wow.
just really sitting in it and going, this is a parallel life, right? And so
Yeah.
you're talking about 800 years. Well, what if we are,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yes.
that,
Yes.
that was a whole lifetime that
Yeah.
was then continuing, and it has everything to do with Colorado and the Air Force that's right here, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's Cheyenne Mountain, like there's
Yeah. Yeah.
everything's here. And so it reminds me like when there was the dream when my now 17-year-old was 9 and I'm hysterical in the yard going, you can't have her.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And so it's fascinating because I'm always like,
Man, I'm getting chills. This
"Mhm,
is this is trippy.
isn't it?"
Uh, oh my God, that was an incredible share. It's weird because I came off the streets in the summer of 2013, and for about 2 years, yeah, 14, 15, yeah, for about 2 years, I was being, running into people. I guess I was doing energy work. Even though I wasn't like advertising or anything, but I was doing a lot. I was getting visitations from children that had transitioned. I've got a message from my mother. And so there was a lot of, and I ran into a lot of psychics and mediums,
Mhm.
but and mostly they were all female because that's pretty much what's made up
Yeah.
most of it, of these groups. But anyway, there was this theme, and it got to the point where it was so common and so frequent that I would ask the question, and I already know the answer, and the question would be, are you in one of these four states? Was your father or your grandfather in the military? You know, and there was something that I was tapped into in regard to something similar that comes out in your story to me. And again, this is like between the words, between the lines, but it's
Yeah.
some kind of truth. Like my whole, not just my back, I mean, my whole body started almost shivering.
Yeah.
And I had a few experiences with different people that were more specific, but yeah, they were wild. I mean, like wild, like almost like what you might think or remember of like Atlantis at the end,
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
technology, you know, it went haywire, or our spirituality dropped or whatever. But some of this shit that was going on was intense and deep, and it was from my experience, it was like deeply embedded in their psyches. Some of
Yeah.
these people that I met, and they were sharp, they were tapped in people, but they also had that, which is another thing that came out in your story, which is where you had the joy and the excitement, and all of that, and over here you still had the grief,
Yeah.
right? Like that's wild.
Yeah.
That is a hell of a spectrum of, you might say, polarity or even duality or something.
Completely.
You know what I mean?
Completely.
But there's a lot of
Yeah.
space in between that.
Yeah.
So what? We're getting to a place now where even through all this craziness and stories like that, how many people have stories like that they never even told anybody?
Because it sounds crazy.
Right, right.
It's like, okay, I should be medicated. It sounds crazy. But I thought back to being in high school, and I was in an all-girls private school right near DC. And the Air Force came in and did, I think it's called the ASVAD, and they tested, right? And I took the test, and then they came back, and I had me and a couple other people were supposed to take another test. So I took another test, right? And I remember them saying to me, do you want to join the Air Force? Da da da. And I remember going home to my parents and saying, you can't join, you have one kidney. And so in that timeline, it was a foof, closed,
Mhm.
right? I think it created something else. I think
Yeah.
it created, whether it's a parallel world timeline, I have no freaking idea. But I think
Wow.
the additional testing was probably testing psychic ability.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
And
That's,
so, and then what did that then create? Because I mean, it's always been ironic. My feet are a mess. I mean, I've broken them more times than, like, they don't make any sense. My feet just do not make sense. So it's always been hilarious to me in these dreams. I'm like a marathon runner with the Air Force. I'm like, yeah, right. I walk and break a bone.
oh
Um,
my God, this is wild. Again,
the polarity.
yeah, the extremes of the spectrum. So even though you can feel like, you hear about people that get the 20 and back, you know,
Yeah.
okay,
I didn't know
so
about that until somebody told me after I told them the story. I didn't know it
yeah.
existed.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I even like question certain things in my childhood because we had a couple of bases. And I remember getting on like little and going to the base or going to the base with my parents because they were having some kind of function out there and getting this weird feeling. I got the same
Yeah.
feeling when I went to Sedona up on Airport Mesa when I
Uh-huh.
went up there. Like, so, but what I'm saying is, yeah, you can kind of feel like I don't want to say the yuckiness, but there's some kind of interference there that's, kind of like, hey, man, I didn't sign up for this. But the other side of it is think of the spectrum of those extremes that you have as a conscious individual and coming into what going back to what you were saying in the beginning about the compassion and the stories that we were talking about, but actually taking that vastness and making the entire thing the 0 point field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then to do that, like, what if we wake up and we're like, we were all been, put in a 20 and back, or, we have two different realities. We really don't go to sleep, or, whatever. And we find out that this is how this whole world works. But yet they can't take the soul. They can't, that's that. I have a friend of mine that's had this experience where they came in. I think it was a couple of mantis came in and the dude was freaking out, like just freaking the hell out. Like, man, and the guy, the ET says to him, look, yeah, this is your container. You
Mhm.
know, there's a experience or experiment going on. There's a lot of people involved. We're going to tune you up a little bit. So, we can take you to the ship and we can, put probe you, whatever the case is, but we can't touch your soul. So chill out. You don't need to worry anymore. I
Yeah.
just think it's a great story, you know. But that kind of
It is a
speaks
great
to,
story because even with all the insanity of this realm, right? And sometimes you can feel the energetic ugh coming at you.
mm, mm,
At the end of the day, your true beingness is completely and utterly safe.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it is what it is. I
It is.
mean, you end up at the same place, which is, you know, it's beyond who am I? I'm everything. And yeah, it's kind of hard to wrap your arms around that thing, but that's kind of where we're headed. And it's not so much like Lucy, that movie Lucy.
Yeah.
It's the awareness. So when they talk about ascending in the body, to me, that's what it is. It's like the switch gets flipped, yet you're still in the reality. So
Yeah.
yeah. And at that point, yeah, if I want to live 800 years, then I guess that's no problem. Because I can leave when I want to leave now,
Right.
or
I can
the
walk
it's
out of this body.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, wow, this has been great. I love talking to you. You're a very
It just
special
went in a
lady.
thousand directions.
I know, but you're just such a breath of fresh air, and you're so genuine, and you're obviously tapped in like crazy. So
Yeah.
I'd love to get together with you again.
Thank you. I
If you,
love these. I was so glad when you messaged me. I was like, Yes, it was like such perfect
Hmm.
timing.
Well, I felt it. I saw that video and and I don't even think I watched the whole thing. I didn't have to because you know how it is now.
Yeah,
You
I
just
do.
glance at something and boom, you get the energy.
Yeah,
You figure, but
it's
yeah.
fast.
Well, if I head up there, I'll definitely look you guys up. I didn't
Yeah,
realize
please
you were in
do.
Colorado Springs. I knew you were in Colorado, but I didn't realize where you were until I set this particular show up and I went to get a picture.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, that makes
Oh yeah,
sense.
totally come out.
Yeah, I will do
Yeah.
that. But yeah, and then I'll reach out again and see if you want to do another show in a few weeks.
Yeah. No, it sounds like fun. But yeah, no, definitely hit me up because I think it'd be neat. And
Yeah.
there's some there's some energy here that I think could be really important for you.
Well, that sounds good to me. We'll see what
Yeah, you're like,
happens because I have
"Man."
no idea. I
Yeah,
have no idea what's going to happen. But you
yeah.
take care and the best to you and the
Too.
family. Thank you so much for sharing space with us.
Yeah, and thank you.